Welcome back to The Chosen Journey. I'm your host, Jonathan Aha Cohen. Flying solo again this week. Have people on vacation, got people with technological problems with their devices. So we're flying solo in this coop this time. Happy New Year, folks, by the way. Happy 2024. If you haven't picked up your copy already, the Bible 3.0, The Six Commandments of the Chosen Life. My book available for pre-sale still, Amazon, Barnes and Noble. Grab your copy. It's the perfect book for 2024 in building your lifestyle and becoming the best you possible in setting up your life systems. So very excited about it. In stores January 18th. Buy it on pre-sale now and help me get to #1 bestseller status. I would very much appreciate it. And this is the chosen journey of obviously the baseball journey. And lots of changes coming up in 2024. Stay tuned. Steve Carsey on hiatus. So we're going to just jump in today. And today is the episode that I never thought I was going to go there on the air, but I'm ready to do it. And I'm going to apologize in advance to all the Ken Griffey Jr. fans out there. I know there's tons of you, and nothing against Ken Griffey at all. It's just I've been thinking a lot because you got the Hall of Fame vote coming up and announcing on who's getting into Cooperstown this year. And I think I speak for all of us. We're like done with the steroid era. Like it's done. It's over. Generally agreed upon 1994 to 2004 for MLB was the steroid era. I got three bats sitting in my man cave here. We got Rafael Palmeiro, Pudge Rodriguez, and Dante Bichette Sr. Where do you want to go with that? Okay, so just so happens those are the three bats on my wall, and many would argue some, if not all, steroid tainted, with or without proof. And it seems like it comes up every year as we're looking at the Hall of Fame ballot, and we're still in this dealing with the steroid era and the fallout. Bonds is not in, Roger Clemens is not in, and we still question certain guys. Jeff Bagwell got in, but Jeff Bagwell had question marks, not sure why. So I want to put this to bed once and for all. And the guy I want to bring up is Ken Griffey Jr. I bring up this argument all the time when it comes to the Hall of Fame. And my question is very simple. I'm not saying I got proof. I'm not saying Ken Griffey Jr. did kind of any PDs or not. But why is it in that era, the one guy who gets a pass every single time is Ken Griffey Jr.? Think about that for a moment. People are saying, he wasn't that jacked. He had a sweet swing. So did Rafael Palmeiro. You know what? I met Palmeiro on a couple of occasions. Listen, the guy had a good physique, but he was not Barry Bonds. He was not Mark McGwire. And I would say just as sweet of a swing, if not sweeter than Ken Griffey Jr. And look at the numbers. If you take Palmeiro's numbers and you put him on Griffey, obvious Hall of Famer, right? So what is it about Palmeiro? Is it simply because of that finger wagging, I did not take anything, Is that what really did it for you all? If that's the case, then why does a guy like Sheffield still have questions around him? In the age when we're putting Scott Rowland into the Hall of Fame, not saying he's not a Hall of Famer, but you compare him to the stats of existing Hall of Famers as far as home run totals, hits, blah, 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 it doesn't stack up. And you're going to come back and say, well, look at his glove. And I'll tell you, look at Omar Vizquel's glove. And he ain't in the Hall of Fame. So it's funny how the voters pick and choose who they like, don't like, and the reasons why they put them in the Hall of Fame. So my thinking is like this, and I've thought this for a while now. If you're going to deal with the steroid era properly, just get everyone that's qualified. The numbers are there. Let's put them in the Hall once and for all. We know they're going to get there regardless, okay? Are you going to tell me Roger Clemens wasn't a Hall of Famer regardless? Barry Bonds wasn't a Hall of Famer regardless? If they didn't take what they took and put up those astronomical numbers, they still had very amazing numbers. They still would have been Hall of Famers. So I think the easiest thing to do is just create a wing, call it the steroid era, put all the guys from the steroid era, and let's just call it a day and put them all in. But if we're not going to do that, then we got to stop cherry picking who we like, don't like, whether they're in, not in. And Griffey's the one that really bothers me. It's bothered me for a while. I want you all to, when you're bored one day and you're like, you know what, I've never really gone back and analyzed Griffey's numbers. Go look at the numbers, okay? 94 to 2004 was the steroid era. Fine. Griffey played 1989 to 2010. So he was smack dab in the steroid era. 94 to 99, he did play with the Mariners. Do you know who else played with the Mariners? Alex Rodriguez. Now, go check out when A-Rod joined the team. Look at his numbers as they developed. Look at Griffey's numbers. Look at Jay Buhner's numbers. And tell me, no coincidences whatsoever? A-Rod is not in the Hall of Fame. May never get in the Hall of Fame. But he has Hall of Fame numbers. And he played with Griffey. What is really different in A-Rod and Griffey? Griffey gets traded to the Reds. Has a couple great seasons. Signed his free agent deal, this monster free agent deal or extension at the time. And played one good year under that deal and then got hurt. I have kind of an issue with these guys that signed the monster deals back in the steroid era, played 1 or 2 good years under the contract, and then mysteriously got hurt. And there was a thing about cycling off of the juice, a la Eric Gagne. And when Gagne all of a sudden got hurt and broke down the body, I don't know if that's a coincidence or not, but I think we need to revisit this a little better. I mean, look at a guy like Palmeiro. Palmeiro never broke down. Palmeiro just kept going right through, right? Did he continue on? Was he ever on? How much was he on? If Griffey was, and he would have gone off, did the cycling through, is that what caused ultimately his numbers to decay and his numbers and his body to break down? Don't know. We'll never know the truth. When you ask Griffey himself, I read an interview with him. He was on Russell Wilson's podcast, and he said, I think that they're all getting in eventually. He wouldn't name names, but he did say that. Where some guys, are very adamant, they should never get in. It's wrong what they did, blah, blah. Griffey kind of skirts the issue. So the question is Griffey skirting the issue because he's guilty or because he doesn't want to draw controversy? He's a good guy. I don't know. But it kind of befuddles me how, again, this man gets a free pass when every other player is tainted from that era. It blows my mind. Pudge Rodriguez is in. And I don't think anybody has any doubt as far as Pudge goes, as far as the whispers. Did he not? I don't think anybody ever considered him fully clean. And it's kind of unfair considering how great of a player he was. A lot to do with his defense, obviously, but he was still a great hitter and one of the best hitting catchers of all time. But yet, when we talk about Pudge, we talk about the era. Talk about Alex Rodriguez, we talk about the era. But Ken Griffey Jr., not a whisper. If you click on the internet and Google search Ken Griffey Jr. PDs, there's nothing, barely a whisper. So Griffey and Sheffield kind of are like linked up at the hip. If you were an 80s child and you had that 89 Upper Deck set and you had that Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card and that Gary Sheffield rookie card, those guys were 1A, 1B. Same way it was with Manning and Leaf, except Peyton Manning went to the Hall of Fame and Ryan Leaf kind of imploded there. Gary Sheffield did not implode. Gary Sheffield ended up having a great career, played for a long time, actually, stayed healthier than Griffey. It's kind of like that debate now between Mike Trout and Bryce Harper. To me, Bryce Harper is Gary Sheffield. Mike Trout, Ken Griffey Jr. Mike Trout breaks down. Ken Griffey breaks down. Harper, while he has his injuries and his surgeries, when he's hitting, he's hitting. And I think ultimately you're going to see at the end of the day, I think Bryce is going to end up with better career numbers than Trout. Now, Sheffield did not, but Sheffield was a very great hitter. And I think ultimately now, I think the time is to let this all go. And let's say we're putting them in or not put them in. And that's it. But this kind of in between is not working for me on any level. And I presume it's not working for you, the fans. Back in my blogging days, when I was interviewing a lot of MLB players, one thing I noticed was when you asked a player from the 90s, the 2000s, who's your favorite baseball player of all time? You know what? If you interviewed 50 players, 48 would say Ken Griffey Jr. So Ken Griffey Jr., man, you put your hat backwards, you got your sweet swing. Weren't the nicest guy to journalists. From what I saw in person, was not the nicest guy to fans always. But you had great stats and you get a pass. So kudos to you. And I want to hear your opinion as a baseball fan. Write in the comments. Let us know. Ken Griffey Jr., do you suspect, not suspect PEDs? Is he tarnished with the steroid era? If you put a steroid era wing in the Hall of Fame, are you putting Ken Griffey Jr. in there? Or does he get a pass? And if he gets a pass, why? I'm confused. But I will say this. I'm really glad that all the steroid era players are almost done as far as cycling through, literally, cycling through the Hall of Fame. And we're coming now to these players where we come to the Joe Mauers, the Chase Utley's, Adrian Baltres of this world. And you know what? We're having a different criteria now for the Hall of Fame. It's no longer 3,000 hits. It's no longer 500 home runs, 300 wins. You know, we look much more. We look behind the numbers. We look at WAR. We look at defense. We look at the amount of time they played. And maybe in some ways, the Hall of Fame is more tarnished now than ever. You know, you're not putting in the steroid era guys with gaudy numbers, but you're putting in guys that in any other years were considered very good, but not Hall of Famers. You know, think of the Alan Trammels and Lou Whitakers of this world, and think about the challenges. Jack Morris. Think about the challenges as far as trying to get into the Hall of Fame, and Scott Rowland gets in that easily. And you're going to see Joe Mauer's going to get in now, and Chase Utley might get in. You know what? 20 years ago, that wasn't the case. So, in fact, this day and age, is the Hall of Fame in baseball, Cooperstown actually the Hall of Very Good rather than truly the Hall of Fame? Think about that one. This is the Chosen Journey. We'll be back next week and lots of surprises in store for you on our podcast. So stay tuned. Baseball news coming for you.